You found the WMIX Saturday Sports Show on AM 940 and WMIXSports.com. Cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. The Saturday Sports Show has been recognized by the Illinois Broadcasters Association as one of the top radio programs in the state. That means the very best mix of local sports content is right here. From the powerhouse on Broadway, the Saturday Sports Show starts now.
Good Saturday morning to you. Time to talk some sports here on the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX and WMIXSports.com. I'm Chris Hugo. Danny Zerwinski and Jeff Crow are in studio as well. We're so glad you could take the time to join us here on the Saturday morning. Great night in high school football last night, especially here in the King City. The Mount Vernon Rams got a big win. And would you believe it, we still don't know much about the South 7 Conference. Of course, half of the conference 2-1. The other half is a game back out of first place at 1-2. Should be interesting week 7, of course, as we'll talk about week 6 matchups. We'll also talk about scores, and we'll talk with some of your favorite head coaches, as well as our WMIX sports correspondents with high school football today. Quinn McClure will stop by to talk Mount Vernon Rams golf. That'll come up later in the 9 o'clock hour. But we'll also talk with Mount Vernon Rams head football coach Jared Shaner. Johnny Hollis of Cesar Waltonville Woodlawn stops by. Todd Rushing, our WMIX sports correspondent, will talk about his game from last night. We'll talk with John Shadowins about his game, of course, the original WMIX sports correspondent. We'll talk with Benton Rangers head football coach Jeremy Claudefelder. We'll also talk with Kerry Martin of the Marion Wildcats. Of course, last week, Marion gets that big win over the Rams, of course, here on Pink Out Night, but then goes on to beat Althoff last night. So the Wildcats and the Rams are both 4-2 and 2-1. Also at 2-1 in the conference are the Cahokia Comanches, who are, believe it or not, 2-4. Centralia and Carbondale are both 4-2 and 2-1, or 1-2 rather, 4-2, 1-2. And then you have the Althoff Crusaders, who, oddly enough, are 2-4 and 1-2. There we go. I think we have the conference covered, and by that I mean I still don't feel as if we know any more than we did a week ago. At all. There's no way that we know any more about the South 7 than last week. I see what you're doing. It's been done to me before, DC. Don't think I don't know how to play that when I think people are ignoring me, and I know that you're really not. I don't want listeners to think obviously that there's tension here, because that's not the case at all. There's some inside things that have happened with public appearances and just flat out being ignored. So
I'm not ignoring you.
It's kind of like the starting lineup newspaper treatment.
I'm not ignoring you. You stop, start. I'm like, get it out of your system. When you're done talking, you're going to take a breath. Let me know. I'll sit here and be quiet till I'm spoken to. Yeah.
Well, this isn't like.
What about athletes?
This is the Mayflower.
Okay. Everybody has them. They wouldn't be playing football, right? You got it.
Yep.
What did we learn last night?
Well, I learned that people don't pay attention.
Exactly. What'd you say? Hey, all I can tell you is right now it's Chester and El Dorado on a diamond. It's Carterville by a long shot of everybody else down here in 3A. And except for Greenville, who's undefeated, for those of you down here that know about Greenville coming down. Heron is starting to separate themselves after Harrisburg got shelled at Benton last night. And then the South 7 is a cluster, because now next week, Marion gets Centralia. Okay, Cahokia beat Marion, and then Centralia beat Cahokia. No, wait a minute. Marion lost to Cahokia. Carbondale beat Cahokia by a bit, but Mount Vernon beat Carbondale by a bit, but Marion beat Mount Vernon by 2. So obviously A and B and C can't be, because they've all played each other. The South 7 is a muddled mess. And I don't think you'll know anything about the South 7 and how it's going to play out for sure until the end of Week 8.
I was going to say, as we head into Week 9 is when we'll get the best indication of the South 7 Conference. Otherwise, it is not coming anytime soon. And when you take a look at the South 7, and, of course, you see how some of the results have gone, and you mentioned it perfectly, the muddled mess that it is. But you could theoretically have a case where the Mount Vernon Rams are able to beat Cahokia and maybe Centralia, or maybe they don't beat either. But if they do, you still have a crucial, and a lot of football to be played before Week 8, but you have a crucial Marion-Carbondale matchup waiting in the wings in the rivalry week in Week 8. It's possible that whoever won the 2-1 teams still may not win this conference, I guess, is to make a long story short.
I'm just saying that Mount Vernon's case, you have to get one win in 3 weeks, and there's not a gimme on the schedule. all these teams are fighting for their proverbial lives here early on because of, everything that's happened over the last, 24 hours, last 12 hours. And you look at the South 7, you got Marion, who doesn't have any gimmies left, Centralia, Carbondale, and then the team from Missouri. It's eluding me, but, that's not going to be easy for them. Mount Vernon's got at Cokie, at Centralia, home against Mount Carmel. So Mount Carmel's a playoff team right now. Cokie's 2-4, but they've, we all know, everybody knows that Cokie opens up with Alton, O'Fallon, and Miller Career Academy. So that's probably why they're the way they are, 2-4, improving. Centralia's 4-2, wobbling a little bit with injuries. Carbondale's 4-2, wobbling with their soft early schedule based on enrollment. So several teams have a chance. Now, what will help Carbondale is they get a Harrisburg team week 9 that's beat up, banged up, probably won't have anything to play for. Therefore, they're going to get 5 wins at least. But then after that, where's Carbondale going to get their wins? That's the big question. They have Althoff next week. Then they have Marion week 8, and then Harrisburg. They'll get 5 wins. The question will be for Carbondale, do they have enough points? And then there's Althoff, who, hanging by a thread, has enough points. With the schedule they play early, they have to get 3 out of 3 to get in because they're 2-4. There's so many teams fighting just to get a 5th win to even put them on the bubble right now. It's unbelievable right now what's shaking in Southern Illinois.
Well, and what's shaking in Southern Illinois, of course, taking a look at some of the scores from last night on the WMIXsports.com scoreboard. Some results that may surprise you, but really nothing surprising outside the South 7 Conference last night, at least to me.
Well, scheduling-wise, there's a surprise, but anyway, we'll go through the scores here. Let's start with, I got to scroll up here, WMIXsports.com. South 7 last night, a game heard here at WMIX. Mount Vernon beat Carbondale at home 21-13. Cahokia over Centralia 38-6. And Marion beat Althoff at home 38-22. Your Rams non-conference opponents, very generous last night. Mount Vernon got 3 playoff points. Rochester beats Glenwood 28-7. Triad beat Mascoutah 32-27. And Mount Carmel beat Jasper, Indiana, 27-14. So 3 more points there, plus 2 Mount Vernon got is 5, again, for Mount Vernon this week in playoff points. Then you go into the Black Diamond last night. Vienna Goreville beat SVWW 41-15. Carmi beats Hamilton County 55-6. Chester beats CZR 40-20. El Dorado over Fairfield in the big matchup of the night, 29-21. And JC beat ET 47-6. And the River to River, AJ beat Pinckneyville 26-16, minus some people on the field. Carterville beat Nashville 58-14, and DuQuoin beat Sparta 19-14. The Indians keep their playoff hopes alive for another week. Benton won at home 30-7 over Harrisburg. Heron over Massac 64-13. And Murphy beats Frankfort as the Redbirds' losing streak continues 35-14. One more will go the Apollo, where Effingham, trying to bounce back into the playoff picture, beat Paris 47-41. It was Mattoon over Salem, 56-29, and Mount Zion easily handled Charleston, 42-7. And those are your scores, and you can find all of them in conference order or non-conference at WMIXsports.com. Nice and neatly done.
And we will talk about one. You mentioned one game we'd have to talk about. Of course, there was a non-conference game last night between the Martinsville Blue Streaks and a team from Wisconsin. Trust me, we'll talk about that here on the Saturday Sports Show. You can find that score at WMIXsports.com as well as archived broadcasts of Mount Vernon Rams Athletics, Jefferson County Showcase, and the Saturday Sports Show. It's all at WMIXsports.com. We'll take a break here on the Saturday Sports Show, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Jared Shaner after these.
Mount Vernon is home to many wonderful people and things, and that includes quality cardiac care from Dr. Ruzaik Ibrahim. A skilled cardiologist, Dr. Ibrahim's training and scientific accomplishments have earned his designation as a Fellow of the American College of Cardiology. His services range from preventative care to the treatment of advanced heart conditions. For an appointment with Dr. Ibrahim at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 241-9071 or visit in person at 4113 South Water Tower, Mount Vernon.
America is a nation on wheels. Everyone has at least one automobile. We use them for shopping, work, everything we do. But they can be a threat. Some accidents can't be prevented. Your professional Pekin Insurance Agency, Page Insurance on Crown View in Mount Vernon, can help protect you from a large financial loss when an accident happens. Call Page Insurance today at 242-7000 about low-cost auto insurance from Pekin Insurance. Ask them about the many money-saving discounts that are available. Depend on your hometown professionals.
Pekin Insurance. Here's Jeff Schmidt for Schmidt Chevrolet of Mount Vernon.
The 2014 Chevy Impala is a car like no other. It's a world-class car, and I tell you, Chevrolet really knocked it out of the ballpark with this car. The more we show it, the more we love it. Our customers love it. The design is beautiful. The interior is absolutely gorgeous. The ride and handling is like no other. And for the money, I don't think you can find a better buy out there right now.
Schmidt Chevrolet of Mount Vernon, 3423 Broadway in Mount Vernon.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX and WMIXSports.com. For the Mount Vernon Rams, it was a big South 7 Conference win last night. 21-13 was your final. We welcome Jared Shaner to the program. Coach, good morning. As we will try to get Jared Shaner here on the Saturday Sports Show, working on that, of course, as we will get to that here in just a moment. So, Chris Hugo with Danny Zerwinski alongside. We're powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be. Interesting last night. The Rams, of course, beat Carbondale 21-13 in a close game at homecoming. So homecoming goes well. You hope everybody is safe and doing things well. And now Jared Shaner joins us this morning. Short of sleep, I'm sure. Coach, how are you this morning?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys this morning?
You know, doing fantastic, and I have to imagine you're doing great. You guys rebound with a nice homecoming win against Carbondale last night. I know things in the first half are starting kind of slow, but how big of an impact did that weather delay make last night, backing things up until 7:37?
Yeah, I'm not real sure. I was really happy with our guys. We got in the locker room, and our coach's office sits to our locker room there. We kind of went in and out a couple times, but the guys kind of got in their position groups and sat and talked about what they needed to do. So I didn't think the weather delay was a real big deal. I think maybe focus-wise, it wasn't great, but it was the same for both teams. I just felt like our slow start was, obviously attributed to putting the ball on the ground a couple times, and we recovered them, but just basically losing it down a few times and some things like that.
Well, this was a Carbondale team, and I'm going to get to the point quickly, I promise. A Carbondale team that had outscored their opponents by quite a few points in the first half. I feel like you had to be kind of thrilled to go into the halftime locker room trailing only 7-0 at that point.
Oh, from a defensive standpoint, I praised the kids a lot at halftime. The coaching staff did. It's what a great job they did. Carbondale, I think, was leading the conference in scoring going into last night, and also in scoring defense. I was obviously not happy about the offensive production, but I just felt like 2 stops from our defense were huge toward the end of the first half in order to just make it 7-0, and then we just went in and made some adjustments and preached, hey, it's our ball, let's go down and score and tie it up, and then let's get a stop on defense. And we actually got the ball back again with a nice hit by Miles Pate on our kickoff team, and it kind of went from there.
Going into last night, you made a quote in a local paper today about not being able to see momentum, but you can know who's got it. It's kind of like the wind. You know it's there, but you can't see it. When in the game did you think the momentum switched sides and came to your team last night? A particular play or a particular moment?
Yeah, I think it was that one that I just mentioned. I think it was our kickoff. We got the ball the second half, went down and scored. It was 7-7. Then we kicked off and didn't even onside kick it, just kicked a hard line drive. And Miles Tate came down and put a good hit on a kid, knocked the ball loose, and we got it back. I'm going to say right around the 35-yard line. And I just felt like just right there, the tables kind of turned in our favor a little bit. We went down and scored. And from that point on, we gave up one more score, but I just felt like we were in control at that time.
In control. And last night I thought Carbondale, didn't do a lot of things. They came in with the reputation of being a pass-first team, throwing the ball everywhere. Came out early and ran the football quite a lot. Did you figure on that going on, or were you expecting more passing early on from the Terriers?
Well, I knew that, the Gaston kid is a big, strong kid. They're running back number 9. Coming into last night, he outrushed all of our kids. in terms of statistics. I think going into last night, he had 600 and some yards rushing. And yeah, they did. They just kind of pounded the ball quite a bit, and we're having some success with it. And when they did throw it, I just felt like our secondary played so much better than we had been. Made some breaks on balls, had a couple nice hits, kind of jarred a couple loose, and they did a good job for us.
Defensively speaking, for your team after 6 weeks, lots of improvement, gotten much better. How do you see the progression of your defense through the first two-thirds of this season?
Well, I think last night was definitely a big step in the right direction, and as a coach and staff, we kind of changed philosophy going into this week. Didn't change alignment or assignment, anything like that. But the last couple of weeks, we kind of looked at the offense and what they were doing, and we started the game with kind of what are called automatics, and basically, hey, if they get in this formation, here's what they like to do, and this is what we're going to do automatically to it. And as staff, we just kind of decided last week that, hey, we weren't going to do that. We were going to line up in our base defense. Coach Kessler called the defense for us and is doing a nice job, and he was going to, put some pressure on them if he felt like they were going to pass, and he was going to load up the box if he felt like it was a run situation. And obviously last night that worked out a lot better for us. And, again, the kids just did a great job for us on the field.
A great job for sure. And again, tonight, homecoming, and it's been a big week for all the kids up and down. How much sweeter is it as a staff and team that you get this win on homecoming and you can be a happy homecoming tonight?
Oh, it's huge. I told the kids starting last Saturday, from a competitive standpoint, and when you're a football player, a football coach, all the little things of homecoming week, they're nice and fine. But ultimately, we kind of talk to them every day this week. My quote to them was, homecoming sucks if you don't win the football game. It might not for everybody else in the school, but again, if you're a football player, a coach, a competitor, it's not fun to go to the dance if you got your tail kicked the day before. So I know our kids, they deserve it, and they should have a good time at the dance tonight.
Turning the page to Week 7, obviously every game is important. This one is the next biggest one on the schedule. At Cahokia next week, obviously a very difficult place to play. A Cahokia team finding their momentum at 2-4 now. Get a win last night against Centralia. What do you know about the Comanches?
Well, you're right. They are kind of finding their momentum. They're 2-4. They've won 2 out of their last 3, and the ones they lost was, they got beat by Carbondale by 7 points. So they're playing much better than they did early on in the year, and I think Coach Galladay probably expected that. They're kind of young. They had some inexperience, so I think they're going to continue to improve. Cahokia is a tough place to play. We're going to have to really have a good week of preparation and get ready to go there, and it'll be a battle for 4 quarters.
It seems like a Cahokia program that maybe 5-6 years ago, of course, had to rely on offense, and then if they stopped you on defense, great. They had to outscore you. It seems to be now kind of the exact opposite. It's up to their defense to create their offense, and that's how they get their momentum. Knowing how well that your defense played last night, and especially in that first half, and then making some big stops in the second half, does that give you a little bit of confidence in your defense to give you a little bit of an edge going on the road into Cahokia next week?
Well, I sure hope so. But the thing with Cahokia and the things that we'll stress this week with the kids are, one thing you're always going to get, Cahokia always has speed. Obviously, they have a great track program and just a lot of athletes who are fast in space. And the thing that I've learned in just a couple of years here is that, you can have 10 guys do their job perfectly against Cahokia, and a 2-yard gain can turn into an 80-yard touchdown in a hurry. And that happened to us a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, my first year. I felt like we played pretty well, and they broke a couple long, late scores that just kind of broke our back. So, you've got to be disciplined. Everybody's got to do their job. And, like you said, our defense performed a little better last night, and I hope we can gain some confidence.
As a coach and a staff, obviously you can't simulate their speed and then the plays they bring to the field. What can you do in practice to kind of give your guys a taste of that, even though it's not going to be the same until you actually get over there and in the game to face a Cahokia team?
Yeah, there's a couple different things. Sometimes we'll put an extra guy out on offense. and just give them a little bit more of an advantage. And one of the other things that we do, you can't simulate that speed, that's for sure. But what we can do is when we give it to one of our kids, if we've got a poor angle or, we're just barely making a tackle, we just stop and emphasize the fact that on Friday that's not going to be a tackle. We're giving, one of our JV running backs the ball, who's obviously not the same caliber as a starting running back, varsity kid for Cahokia. If you're taking a poor angle on our JV running back and making an arm tackle, then you're probably not even touching the guy on Friday night. So we just really stress that. And then the other thing you have to do against them, like I said, is we'll do a couple of 2 whistle drills this week where everybody's got to get the ball. The first guy wraps him up, and then the whistle blows. The play keeps going until 11 guys are surrounding it.
You mentioned the word stress, and that kind of goes along with our WMIX Sports social media question of the week in relieving your stress, even though it's the heart and heat of the football season. Our question this week is, what is your favorite vacation spot?
That's a tough one. I'll tell you, to be honest, I don't really take vacation. In the summertime, we do football, and I don't know that I have a single spot. I'll tell you what I do enjoy is I've got a great wife and kids at home. I usually get about 3 or 4 days at the beginning of August, and we like to just go somewhere. We don't go very far, but whether it be St. Louis or Indianapolis or maybe up to Chicago, we try to maybe catch a zoo, something for the kids to do, and then just go to a hotel and swim a little bit and get away. So no one particular spot. I'm not a big vacation guy, but I sure do enjoy those few days in August where we just get away and relax.
Well, I can tell you right now, it won't be a vacation-like atmosphere heading to Cahokia next week, but certainly seems like with the way the conference has gone, certainly a possible win for the Mount Vernon Rams next week at Cahokia. Good luck to the Rams next week against the Comanches, and we look forward to talking to you again next week.
Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
It's always a pleasure with Mount Vernon Rams head coach Jared Shaner, and it's good to see a good guy see some success, and he is one of the good ones, and just happy to see that the Rams are 4-2, and one of the 3 teams in the driver's seat right now, the South 7 Conference, certainly well-deserved.
Got it. I mean, they're in control of their own destiny. Over the next 3 weeks, you got to get a win. It's not going to be easy. Next week won't it be easy? That environment there with Cahokia has always been good in football. They bring some things at you that, one of the things that they do, speaking of bringing things at you, Cahokia's pretty good at throwing in things as the season goes on. Coach Galladay is setting their players up for more success. After they get through the brutal first 3 weeks that are scheduled, they've been able to compete and play pretty well, 2-1 in the conference. Now the question is, what can they do against Mount Vernon if Mount Vernon is physical with them? That's always the question with Cahokia. We know the finesse is there, but if a physical team comes in, what will they do? And, of course, Mount Vernon, Cahokia has played 2 decently close games last couple of years with Cahokia winning both. But you've got a feeling that Mount Vernon, with the momentum they have, will have one of the better chances to go over there and get a win in recent years.
Well, exactly. And, to my recollection, it has been since 2007 going over to Cahokia and getting a win over there. And it's just a tough team, a tough place to play. The surface isn't always the easiest to run on. You have to watch your ankles especially. So we'll see how that works out for the Mount Vernon Rams next week. It's against Cahokia. It's Friday night. It's right here on WMIX with video at WMIXsports.com. As long as you remember the power adapter to the laptop. 6:30 is your pregame. 7 o'clock will be your kickoff. We hope you'll join us. We hope you'll stay tuned after the break. We'll talk Cestrelir, Waltonville, Woodlawn Red Devils football with Johnny Hollis. They had a tough loss to Vienna Goreville last night. This is a Saturday sports show powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Complete. That's the Orthopedic Center of Southern Illinois with a full sports medicine clinic, state-of-the-art MRI, a spine care team that focuses on pain management, arthroscopy specialists offering total joint replacement, hand surgery, and complete rehabilitation services. Doctors Chow, Hool, Ahn, Kowalski, Freehill, and Smith stand ready to serve you today with offices in Mount Vernon and Centralia and satellite offices in Benton and Nashville. Find out more online at orthocenter-si.com.
Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank. By now you have heard about our new One Checking product. The new One Account is a high interest earning, free checking account designed for everyone. Unlike other banks that pay interest on higher balance, this account pays interest on all balances. From high schoolers to Warren Buffett, one will work for you. You can talk to one of us at 244-3000 and learn about the details. One, exclusively at Community First Bank. You will be one happy customer. Member FDIC.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX and WMIXSports.com. It's all powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Our next guest, of course, out of Black Diamond Conference last night. I know he wished it would have gone the other way. They fall 41-15 to Vienna Goreville. He is the head coach of the Red Devils. Johnny Hollis. Coach, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys.
I know you obviously would have rather that game last night go the other way. 41-15 was the final, but it's a Vienna Goreville team, of course, coached by legendary Mike Rood, and it's just one of those games where you know on the schedule it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, he's always got his team ready to go, no matter what he's got or no matter what offense they're running. Their ground attack is always solid, and they're both their defensive and offensive line last night were very good, and of course they've got two good running backs, and we just weren't able to stop them. I mean, they had one big play after another. We hung tough, most of the first half, and we're up 15-14, and then we had to punt deep in our own territory. Cavins, number 21 for them, great athlete. He returned it for a touchdown on us, and after that, man, it's like our guys are just mentally out of it.
When you get prepared for a Mike Rood football team, obviously been known for changing offenses over the years, single wing, you think spread. How difficult is that to prepare for the Eagles when you're given 4 or 5 days for a team like that?
Yeah, I mean, well, we had trouble getting the film, and we didn't get good film till about Tuesday, and anyway, and then, we get film, we see they're running wing tee against Silverado, and we'd heard they'd put it in and this and that, but, whatever he does, I mean, it's going to be done well. You know what I mean? And it's amazing to me that he can install things that quick and get it in. The kids are successful with it, but I mean, it makes sense with the backs he's got. He's got two good backs. He's got a good fullback, good halfback, and the wing tee is well suited to him. And I'm telling you, that team, that's not the team I saw, over the last few weeks, and they're getting better and better. And like I said, unfortunately, our team seems like when things start going a little bit rough for us, we kind of fold it up sometimes. We're really working on correcting that. But anyway, you got to give it to them. They played us well last night.
Looking at last night, even though it was week 6, it was senior night for your Red Devils last night, a bittersweet night, obviously, now going on the road for 3 games. Talk about some of your seniors that have been in your program that have helped that team and that program be so successful over the last few years. Yeah,
I mean, some of these kids, man, they've played a lot of downs of football for us and been part of a lot of successful teams. They've pretty well been to the playoffs every year they've been on the varsity squad, so we got 12 of them this year, and last night, it was always a bittersweet night for senior night, but it's kind of a weird one too. We're still got 3 games left in the season, and it's been a rough couple of weeks for us. I'm not gonna lie to you. Homecoming, it's always hard to coach a team during homecoming, and then senior night, you got extra emotion going on there, and I wish we could have sent those guys out. They deserve better than that. I wish we could have sent them out on a better note.
When you're looking at sending them out, your last 3 weeks are on the road. You start out at Fairfield next week, then Carmi, then Elkville, Alvarado, or Alvarado Trico, as they like to say. This is not an easy schedule. It doesn't matter if it's your team or anybody else's, and it's time to try to get to 5 wins to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it's no excuses, but it's a rough schedule for us. 3 games on the road in a row. I mean, that's almost unheard of in high school football. And it's 2 opponents, coming up quickly here. Fairfield, that took El Dorado to the wire last night, and then Carmi. Coach Simon's always got a great game plan, and I just traded film with Townsend, and he's a great coach too, and and he's really got his team motivated, and they're playing really well. So, I told our guys that last night. Things are not going to get any easier for us. We really needed that one last night. I mean, we're not going to give up. We're going to keep chopping wood, but we're going to have to really have some good practices the next couple of weeks if we're going to put another W up.
Well, and of course, that brings us to our WMIX Sports social media question of the week this week, which this week we want to know, what is your favorite vacation spot?
We've done the Disney thing and this and that, but probably my favorite thing to do is go rent a cabin in Branson, Missouri. Seems like there's stuff there for everybody to do, and it doesn't take forever and a day to get there, but you can just relax, unwind, and get away from the grind for a while.
Very nice. At Fairfield at the train yard next week. Good luck to the Red Devils. We'll talk to you again a week from now.
I appreciate it, guys.
That's Johnny Hollis, head coach of the Red Devils of Sesford-Lear, Waltonville, Woodlawn, and a big game at the train yard. And the Red Devils, of course, will be in upset-minded mode in the BDC game next week. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk with Todd Rushing. He is our WMIX sports correspondent, of course. We'll talk about the game that he witnessed last night. We'll also give you time to answer the WMIX sports social media question of the week. What is your favorite vacation spot as the voice cracks there? My favorite vacation spot is away from puberty, apparently. But in all seriousness, what is your favorite vacation spot? You can find that on Facebook. It's on Twitter as well. And there we go. We'll be back after this with Todd Rushing here on the Saturday Sports Show, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Mount Vernon is home to many wonderful people and things, and that includes quality cardiac care from Dr. Ruzaik Ibrahim. A skilled cardiologist, Dr. Ibrahim's training and scientific accomplishments have earned his designation as a Fellow of the American College of Cardiology. His services range from preventative care to the treatment of advanced heart conditions. For an appointment with Dr. Ibrahim at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 241-9071 or visit in person at 4113 South Water Tower, Mount Vernon.
Luxury has been reinvented with the technological innovations from the 2013 Lincoln MKX and MKZ. Hi, Roy Schmidt Lincoln dealer at Ford Square, Mount Vernon. The king of luxury crossovers is back with many innovations, including heated and cooled front seats, panoramic vista roof, and available ambient lighting. You'll love everything the MKX has to offer. And don't forget the redesigned 2013 Lincoln MKZ. With elegant fluid lines, every surface is faceted like the many dimensions of discovery. For a very limited time, enjoy $4,000 in dealer discounts plus 0% financing for up to 60 months on the MKX and MKZ. Come see our selection of Lincoln Luxury at Ford Square, Mount Vernon, 1501 Broadway in Mount Vernon, or online at fordsquare.com.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX and WMIXsports.com. Our next guest, of course, is our WMIX sports correspondent. He is Todd Rushing. I believe he witnessed Carterville, Nashville last night. Coach, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys this morning?
Pretty good. Carterville, Nashville last night, of course, I think it ended how we expected it could. What were your thoughts on the Lions last night?
Well, they just keep looking better and better. I've seen them twice now offensively. Even though they lost Behan last week, it's like they didn't miss a beat. They even screw a couple other weapons last night. Bigelow, the receiver, caught a couple passes, and I hadn't seen that out of them. So they looked like they expanded their repertoire, and they've got a lot of talent, good size on the line, and then some depth too. So nice looking football team.
Wow, repertoire has been mentioned. Okay, on the golf course too. Hey,
yes.
I got to ask this: you as a coach, and your staff, if you're Carterville right now, your closest game so far, week 1, 9 points. Okay, or actually week 2, 1 point against St. Joe Agnes. So you got 2 close games right out of the gate. They have the possibility over the next 3 weeks with Sparta, Pinckneyville, and Frankfort, obviously heavily favored in all 3, to blow some people out. How, as a coaching staff, do you go about getting your kids to play enough time and not look like you're blowing people out or rubbing it up, but also knowing the fact that when the playoffs come, you've got to be ready to go?
Well, I think one of the fortunate things for them is at least it is late in the year. It's even worse when that happens early in the year, and you got to get kids out. You don't get they have been able to play some kids for full games and even now into the third and fourth quarter. But you're right. So, kind of in a way now it could almost be a blessing because you can get kids out protected from injury if you can get those big leads because and hopefully have some pressure legs at the end of the year. But it is a problem because you don't want it to happen too soon because they do need to keep some playing time so that they stay in condition and stay game sharp.
As a coach, you walk that fine line of trying to have your kids compete. But, when you get to week 10, you're going to have kids that are going to need plays second half. And if they're coming out for the first half for 2 or 3 weeks, that's an adjustment for a high school kid to kind of deal with because you're not used to playing as much.
Yes, it is. And the big thing, too, I think people take for granted is you're not used to playing in close games. And that's a different atmosphere when the game's on the line late in the game. And compared, you could see a little difference last night when they got up by 40 points. You could tell they were a little more comfortable, a little relaxed. And I could tell Coach Dressel wasn't real happy with some of the things going on. And then you hate to be too critical because you've got a 40-point lead, but you still like them to stay sharp and have that killer instinct. And, if you're not used to playing those kind of games, it can be a little different with that pressure situation in the playoffs, and now you're in a close game.
Around the Mississippi Division, we'll start with AJ continues to win 5-1. They're going to be in the playoffs this year once again. DuQuoin 2-4. They get AJ next week. Is that the swan song for the Indians as far as what you've seen out of those two teams?
Well, I would think so, but I know AJ's quarterback was injured last night. He didn't play in the second half. I think, from the reports I got, possible concussion. And so you don't know how that plays out because he is a key, integral part of that football team. Without him, I don't know what the replacement's like, but I know he's going to be pretty good to replace that boy because he's probably the mainstay of their football team in the fullback Reed.
Yeah, Pinckneyville 3-3 now after a loss. They got to go to Nashville next week. Going back to the Hornets, are they starting to show a turn around the corner? Everybody's going to be beat by Carterville like last night around here, but are they a team that maybe next year Coach Kuhn's going to have something to work with and maybe do some things special there at Nashville?
I think so. They're pretty young. I haven't counted them out yet this year because they showed some signs last night of live. And one thing I liked was they didn't give up. They were playing hard and had a couple nice drives, even after the game got out of hand. That they didn't. A lot of teams could have hung their head and that could have been 70s and nothing, but they didn't. They didn't give up. So they're young and they just need to get a little energy in them. If they could get a key win or so and get charged up a little bit, then you never know what they could do in these last 3 games.
Around Southern Illinois last night, the South Seven's crazy as usual. Was there any game or a score in particular that kind of made you kind of double take and look at?
Well, the Benton-Harrisburg score shocked me. I think I've seen Harrisburg made a bunch of turnovers. That was I thought that'd be a better ball game, closer than it was. But turnovers can make a big difference in that. So that one was a shock to me of all of them.
Harrisburg, kind of a team that's struggling with injuries as well. Benton kind of finding their groove. The Benton Rangers now, they lost 3 games at home to start the year. Got to win there. They've got Massac coming in next week. Then they have to go to Murphy, who's also 3-3 and get better, and to Carlisle, who's playing very good football in the Go-Kid Conference. That Benton Rangers team, they're getting momentum, but it's not a guarantee they're going to get into the playoffs for a 3rd year in a row.
No, the main thing, I think they got healthy, and like I said, Murphy's playing better. And but Carlisle, I think, is playing well. I think they're thin in numbers, and I think they've got a little injury bug too. So, I think Benton's got the momentum though, and they've got the experience, playoff experience in their bag, and I think that they're a team to watch out for if they can sneak in there.
Another thing that teams dealt with last night, and I know you have too when you were coaching, is the fact that weather comes through at the oddest, most inopportune times. Last night, Harrisburg, Benton delayed till 7:30. Carbondale, Mount Vernon delayed. Cokia Centralia delayed. As a coach, when you're out there dealing with that and you got team ready to go like those teams were last night, then had to sit for a while, what things as a coach or coaching staff can you do to try to alleviate some of that sitting around and getting stiff and tired or just resting around?
Best thing I think you do is just try to keep them calm and not let the emotions get too high. That's why I never did like too much rah-rah before a game, because you never know what's going to happen. If you get too rah-rah, then you have to shut down and wait for 30 minutes. So that can really have a negative effect on you. So I think main thing is keep it even keel when you're warming up, especially on nights like that when you think there's a possibility of something happening like that, because it's hard to start that engine again after it's been started. So it's best to come in, ready to play, but not too fired up.
Next week, Week 7, we've already welcomed El Dorado, Chester, and Carterville into the playoffs with their 6th wins last night. They're the last 3 undefeated teams in Southern Illinois. As Week 7 goes, a couple afternoon games in a Black Diamond next week, but also some other very good matchups. Have you snuck a peek at next week where you might end up?
No, I have not. I have not had a chance to look at all. I'm really not sure what's in stock. I really told you I really wanted to go to Springfield this week to see that game, but it didn't go. And so I'm going to take a look. I was going to wait and see after I knew what everybody who won and lost, see what the records were. I'll probably make my decision this afternoon.
There you go. We never mind research and trying to figure out the best games to go to. We always appreciate that effort. And, of course, that brings us to our WMIX Sports social media question of the week. What is your favorite vacation spot?
Oh, gosh.
Red Hawk?
Favorite vacation spot. Oh, I don't think I've been to my favorite. I always wanted to go to Myrtle Beach, but really enjoyed Gatlinburg one year. We went down there, my wife and I. I really enjoyed that. Down there, nice golf course, good atmosphere, good food. So I'd say Gatlinburg is my favorite place I've been.
Gatlinburg is amazing. I actually went there on the way back from Myrtle Beach one year, and both are just absolutely fantastic. Just amazing spots.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, great food. Like I said, good atmosphere, good people, friendly people, and kind of small town atmosphere. So it was a nice place to be and get relaxed.
Amen to that. Coach Rushing, we always appreciate the time. Thank you for taking the time yet again to be a WMIX sports correspondent. We'll do it again a week from now.
All right, thank you, guys.
That is Todd Rushing, of course, WMIX sports correspondent. We'll have another one coming up. That's John Shadowitz. We'll talk about the game he went to last night. We'll talk about it after a quick break here on the Saturday Sports Show. It's presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
I'm Brian May with a look at your next round weather. Cloudy and very warm today. Showers and a thunderstorm, high 82. Cloudy and turning cooler tonight. Showers and a thunderstorm, some possibly severe early tonight with damaging winds and heavy rain. Low tonight 53. Little rain tomorrow morning, otherwise cloudy and cooler, high 67. Monday, clouds and sun, high 64. Next round weather from WMIX, Mount Vernon, Illinois.
Your future is calling. With a GED test and some help from Rend Lake College, you can answer the call. The current test expires at the end of 2013, and your scores will expire too if you don't finish and pass the test by then. Don't feel prepared? Don't worry, we can help. Visit finishtheged.com to learn more. Don't miss the chance to turn one small step into your next big opportunity, like college, a better job, and the respect you deserve. Finish your GED by the end of 2013. Questions? Call Rend Lake College's Adult Education and Literacy Department today at 437-5321.
Mount Vernon is home to many wonderful people and things, and that includes quality cardiac care from Dr. Ruzaik Ibrahim. A skilled cardiologist, Dr. Ibrahim's training and scientific accomplishments have earned his designation as a Fellow of the American College of Cardiology. His services range from preventative care to the treatment of advanced heart conditions. For an appointment with Dr. Ibrahim at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 241-9071 or visit in person at 4113 South Water Tower, Mount Vernon.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX and WMIXsports.com. Powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Our next guest, of course, is our famed WMIX sports correspondent. He got to witness the SVWWVG game last night. Of course, he is John Shadowitz. Coach, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
You know what? Last night, I think I kind of expected on paper maybe the game to be a little bit closer, but some intangibles, of course, always involved. And Vienna Goreville gets a big win over the Red Devils last night.
Oh, I expected a better game as well. You've got to take your hat off to Vienna Goreville and Coach Rude. What a game plan he had for the aggressive Red Devil defense, and they worked it to perfection.
Working to perfection. That was definitely Vienna Goreville, and you've been in that trench before. You've had to prepare for a Mike Rude coach team. How hard is that to get ready for a guy who seemingly has run just about every offense in football possible in the last decade?
Well, that's what made it a unique challenge last night, Danny, was I talked to Professor Viller coaches before the game, and they really had no idea what to expect from Coach Rude last night. They, and I didn't realize until I saw as the game started to unfold, Coach Rude's hand was kind of forced. He's lost his number one quarterback who had played for him for 3 years, Christian Dank. I'm not sure if he was injured or sickness or what, but he wasn't in uniform last night that I saw. But the Crelo kid came and ran the offense well. They ran the wing T last night. And what the amazing thing to me is how they can run an offense so smoothly, and it's a complete different system than what they were running 2 weeks ago.
I'm like you in that, and the fact that he's able, he's ran everything from double wing, single wing, wing T. He's tried a little spread. He's tried, and like you said, his teams are so ready to go. Is that a case of he practices that all the time as a coach and a staff, or is that just something he throws in on a Monday and by Friday it looks good enough that he can run things like that?
Well, it's kind of strange, Danny, because he and I had a conversation 10 or 15 years ago, and Coach Rube was marveling at Ross Babington, how Ross Babington can put a play in on Monday or Tuesday, and by Friday it can look so good. And he said he always had a hard time doing that. He believed in what he believed in. He put things in early in camp, and they would work hard. They'd have 6 or 7 plays, and hopefully they could run them well. And he has really evolved here in the last few years, branching out and trying new things. And, of course, what a great teacher. A good coach is always a good teacher. And Mike Root is one of the best teachers in Southern Illinois.
Speaking around the Black Diamond last night, El Dorado holds off Fairfield last night by a touchdown. El Dorado remains undefeated, but Fairfield is the one that kind of showed me something to play as close as they did, because a lot of people didn't know about Fairfield. What did you learn maybe from that game last night?
Well, it just proves more of what I saw from Fairfield. It's not the most talented Fairfield team that you'll ever see, but I've never seen a Fairfield group like this play together. The chemistry of those kids is something special, and that's not to be overlooked. They believe, and they're on a roll right now, and I don't think they'll lose any confidence last night losing that ball game. I think that, in fact, they'll probably gain confidence from it.
When you look at the Black Diamond right now, you still have 2 teams that have clinched, El Dorado, Chester. You still have 6 other teams that are still on the playoff bubble. Of those 6, Fairfield's probably a lock. Right now, does it look like Vienna, Goreville, and Karma as your favorites to get in, or do you see maybe a CZR, JC, or SVWW kind of getting on a roll, maybe roll their way in?
Well, those last 3 teams you named, they're going to have to pull an upset or 2 to get in. Whenever SV lost their game to Christopher last week, that put them almost off the bubble. They would have had to have won last night and then pull an upset. Now they're going to have to win out, and they have to go to Fairfield and Carmi. It can be done, but it's going to be an uphill climb for them. Vienna Goreville's in the driver's seat right now. They've got a hold serve against CZR, which that'll be no picnic. CZR's getting better every week, but it's a game that I'm sure they'll be favored in. They've got a hold serve there. They'll make the playoffs. Carmi, unless they stub their toe, should be okay as well.
When you look around out of the Diamond, you go to the Mississippi Division of the River to River. It's Carterville and everybody else. AJ's 5-1. Not seeing that DuQuoin or Pinckneyville can hold out to get into the playoffs. I don't think they're going to have enough wins. I asked Coach Rushing this. Carterville's beaten teams left and right. Their closest 2 games from week 1 and 2. What things can you do? You've been there before where you have teams dominating people. What can you do if you're Dennis Druss to try to keep your team's focus over the next 3 weeks with games they're heavily favored to win?
That's a great question. If I had the answer, I'm sure Coach Druss would be calling me. But I don't. It's tough when you don't have the competition on your schedule to make you better. And to get better, you've got to play people that are better than you or at least competitive with you. And it looks like that Carterville has almost ran out of teams that on a night-in, night-out basis can play with them. So it's a problem. What you have to work on right now, and I've heard Coach Martin at DuQuoin say this, right now is when you work on your depth. And, depth can come in so handy in the playoffs. You never know when you're going to need it. If you can play one way on each side, offensive line, defensive line, have kids going one way, what a huge advantage that is when you play good teams in the playoffs. So I think right now, Dennis, if he can work on his depth, keep trying to get better in that way, that's the route he should go.
Anything last night stand out to you, whether it was a highlight or a score or a stat that jumped out at you last night?
Well, I continue to be impressed with Mount Vernon and what they're doing over there. I have not seen Carbondale yet, but I understand they've got a couple of players that are pretty special, and it sounds like Mount Vernon held those kids in check, and they held them to 13 points. I don't know if you guys had a muddy track or a wet track or not, then that might have helped, but I continue to be impressed with them. I'm very interested in the whole South 7 race. You shake those teams up in a bag and pull one out, and that could be your champion, as well as the Ohio division of the River to River. Same thing there. You've got a Benton team last night, probably the biggest surprise of the night. Not that they won, but the way they won 30-7, and suddenly they're a contender again.
They're a contender again. They have Massac at home next week, which they should win. They're going to have to go to Murfreesboro, who right now is starting to turn the corner a little bit with Gary Carter. Going to be a tough road game for the Rangers. Then they got to go to a very tough Carlisle team on week 9. You know how tough it is to play at Carlisle. That's a Benton team that you want to kind of believe in, but it's kind of a tentative momentum with them as far as making the playoffs.
I agree. They've got it in front of them at least. They can control their own destiny.
And I tell you what I like about Benton. I like their defense. And they just proved it again last night to throttle Harrisburg in that double wing like they did last night. They're for real defensively, and the middle linebacker, Blaze Dorchinez, is still hurt. They might get him back next week. They're just going to get better there. So when you're good on the defensive side of the ball, you're going to be in games night in, night out. So I do like Benton's chances right now.
Week 7, we've already got 3 teams in the playoffs after a 6 win last night. Have you looked ahead to Week 7 where you might end up?
Yeah, now, no, I really haven't. I've had to get the emotions of getting my daughter graduated from her last football game last night and everything, and they got that behind me now. And I'm ready to look at the schedule, and I'm leaning toward the river to river, but we'll see how she shakes out.
Gosh, definitely should be a good week next week in high school football. It just seems like every week this year there's been some sort of surprise, unlike past years. It seems like things have gotten stale in Southern Night football the past couple of seasons to where you could pretty well predict week to week, and it seems like there's a lot of uncertainty in 2013, which has made it a great year for high school football, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, it makes it a whole lot of fun, doesn't it, whenever you come into a game and it's a toss-up, or, like you said, a surprise or two every Friday night where you're going to get an upset or two.
Which has been nice. And speaking of fun, I'm glad you led us there. That brings us to the WMIX Sports social media question of the week. What is your favorite vacation spot?
Disney World.
Nice.
Yeah, we've been 5 or 6 times, and it's expensive, but to us, totally worth it. You save and plan, and to me, that's half the fun of it. But we love Disney World.
Amen to that. Coach, we always appreciate the time you take for us each and every week now in your second year as our WMIX Sports correspondent. Look forward to doing it again next week.
Guys, I really enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you. That's John Shadowins, of course, WMIX Sports correspondent, the coach. We're glad to have him. We'll take a break. When we come back on the Saturday Sports Show, we will talk about our scores. The WMIXSports.com scoreboard. We'll come back, just talk some scores, and maybe talk a little bit about some of those scores. Here on the Saturday Sports Show, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
The tradition of fine vehicles and great service continues at Second Chance Auto. They've been providing quality cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs for families like yours for over 33 years, and many are priced under $10,000. Plus, most have a 3-month or 3,000-mile warranty. Bank rate financing available with instant approval. No gimmicks, no pressure, just honest deals on great vehicles from your friends and neighbors at Second Chance Auto, living and contributing back to the community they serve. Located on Route 142 East in Mount Vernon, call 244-4582.
Attention all Medicare Part D pharmacy patients. The annual enrollment period begins October 15th and ends December 7th. And the Medicine Shop Pharmacy is ready to help you. Stop by or call to make an appointment with Eric Black or Tracy Adams. They'll review your current prescription plan and help you manage your Medicare dollars. Here's pharmacist and pharmacy owner Eric Black.
What we offer to our patients is to sit down with them and answer questions that they may have about their medications, really with the end goal of being to maximize their dollars, because that's, after all, what patients really want. We'll take appointments, we'll sit down with them, take as long as it takes to help them choose a plan that is effective at meeting their needs.
Remember, the good folks at the Medicine Shop Pharmacy are never too busy to take care of you. They look forward to understanding your healthcare needs and will focus on keeping you well. The Medicine Shop Pharmacy, 2339 Broadway in Mount Vernon.
To call to make an appointment, call 618-242-8776.
Go ahead, man.
Welcome back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX.
Arrested Development.
WMIXSports.com. You betcha Mr. Wendell made the rare appearance. Somebody else, it was SNF on Sunday night used it. I actually ripped it off from them because I hadn't heard Mr. Wendell. I had the single DC of that song, and I used
that's a good tune. Though.
I used to play Nerf basketball to it in my bedroom as a kid. I would rewind, and I'd have to stop and rewind it.
Yeah, stop and rewind. Can you imagine that? If you said stop and rewind to some people a day, they'd be like, what?
I said that. I told this story, I think, to Avery Barton. He just looked at me like I was dumb.
Right. Wall phones.
I had the football phone.
Children today
and
do
the
not
shoe
understand
phone.
the wall phone concept.
No.
Or the rotary dial.
Do you still have a landline?
Yes.
I'll remember that next time I'm over. I figured for the DTV.
You can call all you want. I'm not answering.
Well, doesn't matter. I just like to see it show up on the screen.
It won't.
Oh, you turn that off?
No, it's
wise man.
I got tired of people like you.
You betcha.
That's the only reason.
You know what I never get tired of? It's a lot of work, but I never get tired of it. It's the WMIXsports.com scoreboard, and there's a lot of interesting scores from last night's football.
Well, there are. Let's get them pulled up here real quick. It is last night. The Rams go to 4-2, beat Carbondale at home right here on WMIX 21-13. Exclusively, that game was on here. Kokia beat Centralia 38-6, and Marion beat Althoff 38-22. Black Diamond last night. Vienna Goreville beat SVWW 41-15. Carmi beat Hamilton County, McLeansboro 55-6. Chester doubled up CZR 40-20. El Dorado over Fairfield 29-21, and Johnson City beat Overall Trico 47-6. River to River, Mississippi. AJ beat Pinckneyville 26-16. Carterville over Nashville 58-14. DuQuoin beat Sparta 19-14. Indians survive another week. Benton over Harrisburg 30-7. Heron over Massac 64-13. Murphy over Frankfort 35-14. Central State 8. Rochester beat Glenwood 28-7. Jacksonville over Springfield 47-27. Senators not getting stuff done. Taylorville over Lincoln 47-0. In the Valley last night, Highland over Bethalto easily 42-0. It was Jerseyville over Waterloo 28-24, and Triad beat Mascoutah 32-27. Those scores and more at our scoreboard website, WMIXsports.com. What are you laughing at?
I just know where you were going with that.
I said the Senators couldn't get anything done last night, speaking of Springfield. I don't know where you assume that I'm taking things.
I assume a lot of the time.
Right. I'm just saying the Senators of Springfield couldn't get anything done last night.
And how about, and you'll see it on WMIXsports.com, a team from Clark County, Illinois plays a team from somewhere in Wisconsin. Of course, we'll talk about that a little bit later on, and that's just the nature of the beast when it comes to scheduling in IHSA football right now. And, of course, we'll tell you how that happened, why it's a problem for them, why it's their own problem, and all of that in this particular case. But still an interesting subject matter. Nonetheless, here on WMIX Mount Vernon, a free service from Withers Broadcasting.
AJ beat Pinckneyville last night 36-15. That's what I'm being told. People that were at the game. Okay, look all you want. You're doubting those True Blue fans over there.
I'm not doubting anything. What would you say it was?
36-15.
Okay.
Those True Blue Pinckneyville fans are telling me
well,
to score.
In the meantime, I have somebody that is probably like the best person for scores ever.
Okay.
And they sent me the text, and in the meantime, I was trying to
that's fine.
fill it in with stuff from the Associated Press, which I will never, ever, 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 ever do again. There are some horrible, and never mind.
Let it out. It's not good to hold it in.
No, but we're going to get it fixed right now.
When you have athletes, you can get those scores on there.
You know what? That's what they tell me. And I am not one of those said athletes, but that's okay. We're going to live anyway. We're going to get that score fixed on WMIXsports.com. Our apologies to the folks from AJ and Pinckneyville for that. So, that said, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk with Jeremy Claudefelder. Allegedly, his Benton Rangers, of course, beat Harrisburg 30-7 last night. Is that one still accurate?
That's 30-7, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
There we go here on the Saturday Sports. We'll take a break, come back after these.
This is Chase Landers with Landers Collision Centers. Harvest time is approaching, and hunters are in their stands. What does this mean for you? Deer are running more frequently now. I hope we don't have to meet in the near future because of these creatures, but in the unfortunate chance you do find Mother Nature dancing onto your hood, you can be confident that Landers will be here to tend to you and your ride. And, as our specialty and main focus is collision repair alone, no one is more qualified to restore your vehicle back to its previous condition or better, and in the process, helping to retain its resale value. Every day we continue to set the standards for quality collision repair. Give us a chance to show you what we can do for you. Collision repair is what we know. We should be good at it. Again, this is Chase with Landers Collision Centers. Big or small, Landers fixes them all. 1-888-LANDERS. That's 1-888-LANDERS.
This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Wilt. I want to thank Mount Vernon and the surrounding area for continuing to support us over the past 5 years. If you have never sat down with someone to go over your insurance program, let me invite you into our office. Let us show you what working with the industry leader, represented by a local agent, can do for you. I'm located just off 42nd Street. You can reach our office 24 hours a day at 242-1421 or on the web at tonywilt.com. Thanks again, and go Rams.
And we welcome you back on the Saturday Sports Show. It's WMIX and it's WMIXsports.com, and it's all presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
You bet it is. 30-7. That was the score last night when the Benton Rangers defeated the Harrisburg Bulldogs at Tabor Field on homecoming night. We welcome the head coach of the Rangers, Jeremy Claude-Felder. Good morning.
Hey, guys. How are you?
You know, doing pretty good. And last time I saw you, you were kind of walking about the DQ fair, and I remember your head was kind of down after a loss, and I believe I told you it would get better. I don't know if you could hear me or not from our tent, but and it got better. You got a big win last night against the Harrisburg Bulldogs, a big conference win at home on homecoming night. Have to be pretty proud of your crew.
I am. I mean, you hit the nail on the head right there. Pretty proud football coach. I like the way our kids handle the week. It's homecoming. A lot of times there can be distractions. I really felt like the entire week they enjoyed the festivities and the dress-ups and all those things and took part in those deals. And then at 3 o'clock when the whistle blew, they really did a nice job of coming to prepare. And as we talked to them over and over, preparation is key and very important, but at the same time you can't just prepare. You have to also perform in the moment. There was a whale of a game for us defensively last night, I thought, throughout the entire ball game. And then the second half offensively we got rolling.
Is this one of your tougher, mentally tough football teams I'm looking at? Because you lose 3 home games out of the first 5 weeks, yet come back with a big win last night against Harrisburg.
Well, I don't think there's any question about it. You know, we've lost 3 home games this season, and we hadn't lost but 2 home games the previous 3 years. So playing at Tabor Field has been kind of the friendly confines for us, but it unfortunately this time around, because of just some situations, it hasn't been great. And I think anytime you play Harrisburg, naturally the town rival will always be the people down the road 6 miles south of us. It just dates back with so much tradition and history. But I think a mental block standpoint, you're exactly right. I think the Harrisburg game is always one of those rivalries. It's one of those tough games, and again, it's just to beat them in the fashion that we did with a 0-0 score at the half. To come out and put 30 on the board in the second half and to keep them to 7. Just really, really proud of our troops.
You dealt last night kind of like Mount Vernon Carbondale did. You had a delay. You had a lot of rain down there at Tabor Field. Mount Vernon did not. How did the field conditions and the rain, if at all, change your game plan heading in that last night?
Well, we worked a lot of empty stuff throughout the week because we liked the way they defended empty a little bit. We felt like that could be advantageous to us. And then all of a sudden, I walked out of my office. I wasn't away from the stadium, and I saw this cloud hanging over, and I kind of looked at it and thought, well, that might not be good. Next thing you know, it's thundering and lightning, and it just came a sheets downpour, buckets, and it was a pretty good lake at Tabor Field there for a while, and it drained okay, but the field was still sloshy throughout the course of the night, and my concern in pregame was, boy, that could really, really, really be advantageous to them, because anybody that knows Harrisburg knows while they get in some empty this year and run some jet sweep and do some of those things formationally, at the end of the day, typically they're a double tight, multiple back offense that wants to fall forward and get 3-4 yards a pop and move the chains and shorten the length of the game and just continue to get first down. So I was a little bit concerned about that. And defensively, I thought we were really, really solid. We were just really good against the run. -1 play, they got in a wildcat deal and snapped it to Goldman, who's a really nice player, and we didn't execute very well. He got the edge, and he got up the sidelines for 71 yards, but they still we held them to 208 yards of total offense, and one play was 71 yards. I think they had 7 first downs in the entire game. It was a great defensive effort. And offensively, for our offensive line, really, I got to give kudos to them because we've been critical of them the entire year, and they're a group that has had to kind of rebuild off of last year's really good offensive line. Kind of came out and our backs ran hard, found some creases, and kind of beat Harrisburg at their own game.
The legend of Spike Bunton continues to grow. I mean, he took over for my quarterback a year after a pretty good crew went through and graduated Benton High School. Last night I'm looking, he throws for 78 yards, runs for 95 more. And when you look back, and you still got a lot of games left with Spike at quarterback, how good a football player is Spike Bunton?
Well, we're just happy he's on our side. I'll tell you, he's a kid that comes from a great family. He's a kid that has a great work ethic. He's a super kid to be around. You never have issues with him off the field. He's a playmaker. I think anytime 17's in the game, I feel like we have a chance. And
Let's not take anything away from the rest of our guys. But he's been really good. He completed 8 of 10 last night, hit 5 different receivers, and then he ran the ball himself. He had 29 carries for 115 yards that we had him for. So anytime he's on the field, we feel like we have a chance. And he can improvise so well. The kid before, Tyler Liffer, was a great one for us, and he could improvise and extend the play, and could do it with his legs, but he was really a downfield throw guy whenever we had receivers coming back. Spike's kind of more of an improvising guy when things kind of break down a little bit. He does it while his arm strength and everything about our passing game with him has gotten better. His legs at the end of the day are pretty dangerous.
Next week, you got the dream. You are in control of your own destiny. You have Massac County coming in at home. Then you go on the road to a tough Murphy team and a very tough Carlisle team. Your next 3 weeks, do you want to predict or possibly say what could happen over the next 3 weeks as far as controlling your destiny?
Well, we started talking 2 weeks ago about what we needed to do and get out of the hole. We're at 3-3 right now. You look at our schedule, and we lost to Carterville in a very competitive game week 1. In a game we had an opportunity to take the lead in and even win late. Unfortunately, we didn't do that. And then we win a week 2 game. We lose week 3. And I think if you look at the week 3 game and even the Heron game right now, obviously Spike didn't play in the Heron game, and anytime he's on the field, we feel like we have even a greater chance of winning. While they're a very good football team, I feel like the game probably would have been closer with him because it was a 16-6 football game in the third quarter without him. I think when you go back and look at 3-3, you could probably be right now where maybe you thought you would be sitting at this point. Well, with the win last night, you'd really like to be 4-2, and we go back to that week 3 game, and it's disappointing for us right now. We pride ourselves statistically on a lot of things. We want to be great on third down defense. We want to be good on first down offense. We want to win the turnover battle, and all those things. But I think the thing that I take the most personal in terms of statistics is I want to play with the greatest effort. I want our kids to play with a greater effort than anybody else and with a purpose and a passion. And we feel like we didn't do that in week 3, and we kind of backed ourselves into a hole. And right now, our approach is we want to know. That's our goal. We start on the beginning of the week, and our goal for the week is to be 1-0. Don't look at anything else. Let's just be 1-0 on the week. That means we got to prepare. We got to prepare like champions do. And then at the end of the day, we got to come out and we got to perform in the moment.
We know that football coaches are some of the hardest working people, especially offensive coordinators like yours. Our WMIX Sports social media question of the week this week is, what is your favorite vacation spot?
You know what, fellas? We've been all around. We've been to the Disney World deals. As a young guy, I was privileged to be in a family that we took trips and vacations, and we've done the Orlandos and the Myrtle Beaches, and we've done all those different sorts of vacations. But I got to tell you, this year was probably my absolute favorite. This summer we went down to Destin, Florida, and we've never been to the Gulf side. We've always been to the ocean side over there in Orlando and Cocoa and so on and so forth. Been to Jack's Beach and things in Jacksonville. And Destin to me was just a very, very relaxing spot. It wasn't the rigmarole of amusement parks and running and the hustle and the bustle. It was just very relaxing, kind of hang out in the water. And so I would say I found out in late July this year, that early August, that right now that's probably my favorite spot.
And what a great spot indeed. And it's always nice sometimes to be able to get away and relax. And I know some big games coming up for the Rangers, of course, over the course of the 2013. We wish you the best of luck and hope we can talk to you again soon.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Always a pleasure with Jeremy Clodfelder, one of the good guys in the business, head coach of the Benton Rangers, of course. And Kerry Martin, of course. There's some ties there with our next guest here on the Saturday Sports Show. We'll talk Marion Wildcats football as they get a big win over Altoff last night and help logjam the South 7 Conference. It didn't really matter who won. It was going to be a logjam regardless because of everybody being 1-1 coming into Week 6. But we'll talk with the only team with a winning streak in conference play in the South 7 this week, head coach of the Marion Wildcats, Kerry Martin, after the break. This is a Saturday Sports Show powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
I'm Brian May with a look at your next rad weather. Cloudy and very warm today. Showers and a thunderstorm, high 82. Cloudy and turning cooler tonight. Showers and a thunderstorm, some possibly severe early tonight with damaging winds and heavy rain. Low tonight 53. Little rain tomorrow morning, otherwise cloudy and cooler, high 67. Monday, clouds and sun, high 64. Next rad weather from WMIX, Mount Vernon, Illinois.
This is Chase Landers with Landers Collision Centers. Harvest time is approaching, and hunters are in their stands. What does this mean for you? Deer are running more frequently now. I hope we don't have to meet in the near future because of these creatures, but in the unfortunate chance you do find Mother Nature dancing onto your hood, you can be confident that Landers will be here to tend to you and your ride. And, as our specialty and main focus is collision repair alone, no one is more qualified to restore your vehicle back to its previous condition or better, and in the process, helping to retain its resale value. Every day we continue to set the standards for quality collision repair. Give us a chance to show you what we can do for you. Collision repair is what we know. We should be good at it. Again, this is Chase with Landers Collision Centers. Big or small, Landers fixes them all. 1-888-LANDERS. That's 1-888-LANDERS.
Mount Vernon is home to many wonderful people and things, and that includes quality cardiac care from Dr. Ruzaik Ibrahim. A skilled cardiologist, Dr. Ibrahim's training and scientific accomplishments have earned his designation as a Fellow of the American College of Cardiology. His services range from preventative care to the treatment of advanced heart conditions. For an appointment with Dr. Ibrahim at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 241-9071 or visit in person at 4113 South Water Tower, Mount Vernon.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX and WMIXSports.com. It's powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
There you go. That's Danny Zerwinski. I'm Chris Hugo. Jeff Crow with us as well. Glad to have you with us until 10 o'clock. We're glad especially to welcome head coach of the Marion Wildcats. He is Kerry Martin. Coach, good morning.
Good morning to you guys. How are you?
You know, pretty good. You seem to be doing even better. You're the only team in the South 7 Conference on a 2-game winning streak right now.
That's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, it's funny you say that. It's we're just fortunate right now to be playing, the best football we've played so far this year right now. And I guess if you're going to, it's a good time to do it. But we had a good performance last night, I think, against a really good football team, and they got a lot of offensive weapons, and we created some turnovers, and I was real proud of the effort. I felt like it was maybe the first time all year we've played decent football, I think, for 4 quarters.
Well, and going back to the overtime win over Mount Vernon last week, and 44-42 the final in that, and really Brant Hill played like a man on a mission last week, and just probably, and I mean this with all due respect, the best that I had seen him play. And I'm sure that you've seen better out of him, seeing him every week of every season, but it seems like since you put him back in the lineup last week, things have been rolling on all cylinders for your team, at least from my perspective.
Well, you're exactly right. I mean, he's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of gifts. I think he brings a lot to the table. He's a great leader on the field for us. He keeps things rolling. He's made good decisions, I think, as far as taking care of the football the last few weeks, and he's really elevated his game. And I'm pretty proud of him right now for where he was, where he's come so far this season, and he's running the ball well for us. And right now we've got good balance. We've had the last 2 weeks we've had almost perfect balance between run and passing yards. And as a coach, I don't set out necessarily to have that at the end of the ball game, but I think it's really good because it makes it a little harder to defend if we're not playing too heavily on one way, passing or running. We've really had a nice job of finding some kids that can help us in the passing game, receiving wise, and some backs that are getting us some positive yardage. And then Brant's doing a little bit of both for us, so it's been pretty good.
Althoff and Marion over the years has built up quite a bit of a rivalry, especially after, the Southern Illinois side of the South 7 started taking Althoff down a little bit. Turnovers last night were a key. How did your defense do last night, go back getting so many balls turned over to get the back for your offense?
Well, I think we got some pressure on the quarterback, and I think that helps. I think, putting pressure on him forced some throws, and he tried to throw into some smaller windows maybe that that he normally wouldn't. But we got decent pressure. Our kids did a good job on rollout passes of containing him a little bit because, he's been a starting quarterback at Althoff for 3 full seasons. He even played some as a freshman. So Eric Merton is a good quarterback, and we have a lot of respect for him. He had a big game against us last year, even though we beat him. I think he threw for over 300 yards, and I just think the pressure was the number one thing. I feel like that, you can do a lot of things coverage-wise, but you've got to get that pressure and get the ball out of his hand early. And our kids made some great plays on the ball, probably the best I've seen them do in maybe a couple of years, making breaks, getting around tips, and making plays on balls that were in the air, and I think being physical with the receivers. And I think those things all kind of combined. And let's face it, we got lucky too on some bounces and some tips, and just good hustle put us in the right place.
Your team now sits 4-2 in control of your own destiny basically over the next 3 weeks. As you look down the schedule, and you have Centralia next week, you have Carbondale in the rivalry week of Week 8, and then the out-of-state non-conference game Week 9. How do you keep your team focused now with the success that your team has had the last couple of weeks?
Well, we got off to kind of a slow start this year, and even in games that we won, we didn't really play very well. And the kids could sense that. We were just not. We played Harrisburg Week 3 and we won the game, but just a frustrating game, a lot of turnovers, a lot of mistakes. And I think the focus has really been one game at a time since then to try to make Marion better. We're focused less on who we play, but how we play, and that's been kind of our mission every week, to keep improving as a football team and stop letting Marion beat Marion, and I think that's been good for us. I think homecoming was a good week for homecoming, coming off the Mount Vernon game, which was a big win for us, and I think homecoming helped keep us focused on this game. And I think next week against Centralia, we're going to have our pink out game, which is a huge deal here, and hopefully that'll give the kids another incentive to play. But you preach the old coach's adage that you're going to take it 1 week at a time, and we have really tried to stress that. And I think our kids know, with our record at 4-2 and our playoff points maybe not real strong, we cannot take a step back. We can't take a week off. Nearly every game remaining for us since Week 5 has been a playoff game, and there's not much room for error for us. So we just got to keep playing, as you said, control our own destiny and take them one at a time. You
talked about the different activities that are involved in the football season. Coach Codfeller was on from Benton before you. So, he's like, last week had Frankfort, this week's homecoming, next week's senior night. You have homecoming, pink out, senior night. You have all these things. Mount Vernon, big game last week, homecoming this week. They go to Cochise and try it back with senior night. All these things associated with a high school and with a school experience, extracurricular, are a great thing. As a football coach, when you have so many things back to back to back to back going on that are emotionally both up and down, how hard is it as a staff to try to keep a bunch of teenagers calm down, not only calm down, keep focused for football, but also remind them, hey, I know you're having fun, but you got to watch what you do also away from the field?
Oh, it's a huge challenge. I think it's a huge challenge to, the word we use a lot, and a lot of coaches do, of course, is just focus, and the ability of a kid to block out those distractions and remember that this is the ultimate goal. We've got to win the football game. The pink out stuff is awesome. We raise a ton of money for that, and the people purchase a jersey and sponsor a jersey for $100, and we've sold a bunch of them this year and last year, and it's been great. It's been a blessing to our school and those who need the money for cancer. But at the same time, we got a ball game we still got to play, and ultimately, our job as coaches and the players is to go out and play that game to the best of our ability. And I think you're right. The challenges of homecoming here is great. We have a great homecoming week, and it's fun to watch the kids in different things and powder puff and parades, but you still got to come to practice, and you've got to zero in on those 2 hours of practice and make sure we're getting the things done we need to get done. And it is tough. There's no doubt about it. It's tough, I think, for coaches. It's tough for players. I think it's tough for college and professional level players to stay focused week after week. And I think that's really one of the great challenges of the season, is to make sure you don't have that week where you're kind of sleepwalking a bit and looking past people. But I'll tell you, the South 7 this year is so tough, and the teams are so balanced that I don't think anyone's looking past anybody else. And I think that's been good in our preparation.
And that brings us, obviously, as you mentioned, like we've talked about early, Mr. Hugo and I, the South 7 probably doesn't get figured out until every game's over in Week 8. Is that kind of what you're looking at?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's, as I said, every ball game is a challenge. Every game is, I think, is a slugfest. And you know, I mean, it's just going to be that way week after week. And if you look past anybody, I think you're making a huge mistake and could get tripped up. You know, we've got a Centralia team that's coming off a couple of rough weeks, but I guarantee you Ray will have him ready to play. And he is such a great coach, and he's still got a lot of talented kids, and their backs are against the wall a bit too now, and I think they'll come out fighting, and we know that, and we better be ready for it. So, you know, I think that's just part of the South 7 right now. And again, as I said, I think it's good to maintain focus because the teams are so close, and but I also think it's making us better for the playoffs. Hopefully, that the competitiveness of the regular season will make us better down the road.
Amen to that. And, of course, maybe down the road you can take a vacation, which leads us down to our WMIX Sports social media question of the week. What is your favorite vacation spot?
Oh, it's anywhere on the beach. Absolutely.
Nice.
No doubt. I'm a beach guy. I look forward to trying to get down somewhere in the South every year to the beach. And I could spend my I intend on, hopefully, if I'm fortunate enough to do it, spending some of my retirement time each year down there. I love it, and I look forward to it every year.
There we go. Kerry Martin, always a pleasure and a privilege. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, guys. Have a great day.
You too. That is Kerry Martin, head coach of the Marion Wildcats, and always a great interview. Love having Kerry Martin on the Saturday Sports Show. And had it been a different team they beat in overtime last week, obviously we would have had him last week. But you know, since it's the Rams,
it's nice to send a good guy like him off with some momentum.
Yeah,
you know, here's an overtime win on the road. Good luck.
But yeah,
and he's turned into a 2-game winning streak, and now they have Centralia who's limping in. They probably be a 3-game winning streak, and then Carbondale who at this point might be limping in even more.
And here's the thing, and the crazy part about it is Centralia, you know, with some of their week-to-week, could easily go down there and win that game next week, or Marion could win that, maybe have the only 3-game winning streak in the South 7,
right?
But then have Carbondale come in on rivalry week or go to Carbondale, what have you, and ultimately lose to Carbondale.
Yeah,
who knows? But I'm glad he understood where I was going with the 2-game winning streak thing in the South 7. We need to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk Rams golf. Yes, we'll hit the links with Quinn McClure, figuratively, not literally. That could be next week, though, when the Rams host their baseball fundraiser, of course, at Green Hills Golf Club. Still time. Find more information on that on mvths.org, as well as our Facebook and Twitter pages at WMIX Sports on both. Back after these.
Here's Jeff Schmidt for Schmidt Chevrolet of Mount Vernon.
We've got the all-new 2014 Chevy Silverado in, and it is a remarkable truck. We're very, very excited about it. A completely new truck with an option of a 6.5-foot bed on the crew cab, which is a feature that a lot of our customers really like. The ride and the handling of this truck is just second to none. It's the most fuel-efficient V8 on the market.
Schmidt Chevrolet of Mount Vernon, 3423 Broadway in Mount Vernon.
If you can't pick us up where you live, move. This is WMIX, Mount Vernon, Marion, another Withers Broadcasting Station.
What does technology sound like? Is it the clang of heavy machinery, the beeps and chirps of an electronic gadget? At the new Good Samaritan Regional Health Center, technology sounds a little something like this.
It's the sound of a young girl excited because her mom's being released the same day as her minimally invasive surgery. Thanks to the Da Vinci surgical robot, our surgeons' hand motions are seamlessly translated into smaller, more precise movements. But surgery isn't the only way Good Samaritan is raising the bar for advanced healthcare in Southern Illinois.
That's the sound of a patient's health record being updated and stored electronically for immediate access by nurses, primary care doctors, and specialists alike. That's why soon, the new Good Samaritan Regional Health Center will use all electronic patient health records. Less paper translates to faster, better care for you. And that sounds a little something like this.
The new Good Samaritan Regional Health Center, raising a hospital, raising the bar.
High school sports are back, and your source for scores is WMIXsports.com. Also, find archived local sports broadcasts, video highlights, national sports headlines, and more right at your fingertips. Listen and watch live WMIX sports broadcasts from your desktop or any mobile device. Need a score? Want to see a sick dunk? Miss a game? Didn't get up in time for the Saturday sports show? That's right, it's all at WMIXsports.com. Another free service from Withers Broadcasting. WMIXsports.com.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX and WMIXSports.com. Guess what? It's powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Yes, it is. And, of course, very proud to welcome back to the program Quinn McClure. Of course, he is the head coach of Mount Vernon Rams Golf. Coach, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
You know what? Thankfully, you help us stay up to date. You send the results after each and every match, whether it's a tournament, whether it's just match play. And it looks like kind of getting the feeling from Rams Golf this year. There have been some successes, but maybe not quite the way every time out you've wanted the season to go.
No, we've kind of been up and down this year. We lost 4 seniors that scored in almost every match last year, and 2 of those kids are continued on to play. One's at University of Illinois Springfield, which is Trevor Floden, and Matthew Williams is playing down at Wren Lake. So, when you lose 2 kids that go on to play collegiate golf, you got to fill some gaps. And then Jonathan Bowers and Hayden Paninsky, they're obviously on in school, but they're not playing. But we lost a lot last year. So I had 2 kids returning, Nick Meyer and Jackson Horton, and then they played last year just on the junior varsity level, which would be Kylan Hallam and Ryan Campbell. And so that's kind of my core group this year. And I got 2 freshmen, Chase Reaganhart and Brian Bain. And they've kind of done, as you say, the trial by fire. They just kind of got thrown in the hunt. And I've always said there's some years I wish you could redshirt kids in high school, and those 2 would be the perfect candidates because they've just kind of started this year, and they've kind of had to cut their teeth as we've gone through this season. So, but we're making it through, and we've got we are hosting our regional this year. So we've got a 10-team regional, and that's on Tuesday. And then this past Thursday, we competed in the conference golf tournament where we finished 4th, but we had 2 of our kids got all conference honors, which was Kylan Hallam finished 6th, shot 77, and Nick Meyer finished 7th and shot 80. So both those guys got all conference honors this year. So we've had some individual success, not quite the team success that we've had in past years, but but right now everybody's getting ready to be 0-0 on the year, and we'll see what we can do. Of course, we're going to play at home, so try to get as many guys out. If we can't get the team out, then plug along to the sectional at Salem then this following Saturday.
That's a quick turnaround. A lot of times you have a regional 1-week sectional, the next quick turnaround, play on a Tuesday, then have to play on a Saturday in a sectional. Good thing is, though, you get on 2 familiar courses. How does that help your team knowing that you can play at Green Hills and Salem in order to get to the state tournament?
Well, I hope it's going to help us a lot. Just where we are right now is we're going to struggle to. Our regional's pretty good, so we're going to have to play well just to get out of our own regional. And then, like I said, if we don't get out as a team, if we could get individuals out, those kids all know Salem very well. We play up there in the match play just 2 weeks ago, played an 18-hole event there. So, and then we played a regular season match up there as well this year. So we've been up there twice already, and the kids know that golf course because most of them will play a summer tournament up there as well. So.
The weather has not been the usual norm. I mean, we had the wet
bite your tongue.
Yeah, I know. Bite my tongue. It's going to be cold or whatever. I know what I'm saying. But like last year's state tournament. But you have a wet summer, rather cool for Southern Illinois. Then the last 6 to 8 weeks has been nothing but dry, no rain, whatever. How the golf course has been changing are the ones that you go out and play on with your team.
Every golf course we've been on so far this year has been in very good shape. No complaints. Usually you'll go through a hot summer where we did a couple years ago where people lost a lot of greens and just courses got burned up. But every course we've been on this year I have not noticed anything out of the normal of condition-wise of, bad greens or burn-up fairways or anything to that. I think it's been a pretty good summer for golf courses.
Last question for you is our WMIX Sports social media question of the week before we let you run away and get ready for golf and regional next week is, what is your favorite vacation spot?
Oh, well, we've probably got 2. If I had my kids here with me, they would tell you Disney World would be one. And then probably if I was going to go on vacation, we've kind of settled down into Destin, Florida.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you playing in the baseball golf scramble next week?
Well,
when
we set that up, we were going to play it this weekend, and then they've got the Baptist Children's Home today. There's an elk scramble tomorrow, And I told Tim, I said, go ahead and set it up then the next weekend because that sectional will be on Monday, which it always, for 17 years, has been. Well, Salem has John Cavaletto, State Representative John Cavaletto has his big fundraiser on that Monday. So they have to play it on Saturday.
Oh.
We have to play the sectional on Saturday. So if I would get our team out or any kids out, I will not be able to even be there, let alone play. So
that means other teams have a chance.
Yeah,
I like
so
that.
I'm hoping I'm not at the baseball fundraiser.
Right.
I'm hoping my golf season goes on. So
exactly.
But you know, come on. Did you kind of go wink, wink? Yeah, I'll be there to help with the tournament. Kind of thinking that might be a possibility. Ha ha, he he.
Well, when we did all that, I had no idea. And then when they came out, I told Tim, I said, we got a problem. We'd already sent flyers out and started calling people to get teams together. So I said, we just got to leave it there. And I said, I can get people to help you run it. So I said, I hope I'm not there, but if I'm there, then obviously our golf season has come to a screeching halt. So.
Promise me this. It is October, that the donuts will be out fresh and early at the Mount Vernon Conference. Can you promise that?
I can promise that.
Okay.
Well, I shouldn't say I can promise that because I don't have control over getting them from the store to the school. But if they're at the school, they will be out.
Okay.
And coffee.
There we go. We always appreciate it, Coach. I'm hoping we'll get to talk to you again soon here on the Saturday Sports Show. If not, hopefully we'll see you in person.
All right. Well, hey, quick shout out just for all of our sport teams. I know we had a great assembly yesterday. We had the Jesse White Tumblers come down and got our kids fired up, and we had a good assembly. And from you guys know, you've been around the high school enough. We've got from our Special Olympics kids to the bowling team to the Scholar Bowl team. I mean, our Mount Vernon High School does very well with all of our extracurricular activities. And just a quick shout out to all those kids that participate and all the coaches and parents that are involved. And it's a good place to be to have your kids involved in extracurriculars. So I appreciate you guys having me on this morning.
Always a pleasure. That's Quinn McClure, head golf coach at Mount Vernon, also the assistant baseball coach for Tim Holloway, and just an all-around great dude. And thankfully a guy that understands our mission, which is to showcase everything. And I'm glad that he mentioned that shutout there at the end because, through our MVTHS Minute as well as our Rams Report that you hear at halftime and you can hear during our archives in the Second Chance Auto Halftime Show, of course. Rams Athletics, of course, presented by Community First Bank of the Heartland. But we have the Rams Report and the MVTHS Minute trying to showcase everything because there are so many things that go unnoticed when you have a high school that large. And everybody does the best they can to get the word out, but sometimes they need just a little help. And so we're doing what we can to help try to showcase that, and very proud of what they're able to put together, and glad to have folks like Quinn McClure and, of course, all of our coaches who understand what our mission is and trying to showcase all of that information. We have one more break to take here on the Saturday Sports Show. When we come back, we're going to preview Week 7. We're going to talk about Week 6. We're going to talk about scheduling. Yep, we're going to talk about high school football scheduling here on the Saturday Sports Show. Surprise, surprise. It's all presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Stay tuned.
Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank. Now is a great time to move your account to Community First Bank. With our new One Account offering the highest interest rate in the market, free checking, and CD specials delivered by people you know and trust, why would you not bank with the market leader in Jefferson County? We offer 5 locations with 7 ATMs and have been serving the Jefferson County market since 1906. Stop in and see why our bank is the fastest growing bank in Jefferson County. Community First Bank, welcome back to personal banking. Member FDIC.
Once upon a time, it was nearly impossible to find that perfect blend of luxury and fuel economy. Hi, Roy Schmidt, Chrysler dealer at King City Chrysler Center, Mount Vernon. The 2013 Chrysler 200 sedan provides luxurious options like leather, heated seats, and navigation without the frequent stops at the pump. You will find Uconnect technology that allows for hands-free use of your cell phone, keeping you legal while you talk. The Chrysler 200 doesn't just combine safety with luxury, it keeps you out of trouble. With 0% financing or a total of $3,500 in incentives on the 2013 Chrysler 200, we are guaranteed to find a payment perfect for you. Come see one of our associates at King City Chrysler, 1603 Broadway in Mount Vernon, or shop us online at kingcitychrysler.com. And don't forget our new Express Lane fast oil changes and more for service without an appointment.
Mount Vernon is home to many wonderful people and things, and that includes quality cardiac care from Dr. Ruzaik Ibrahim. A skilled cardiologist, Dr. Ibrahim's training and scientific accomplishments have earned his designation as a Fellow of the American College of Cardiology. His services range from preventative care to the treatment of advanced heart conditions. For an appointment with Dr. Ibrahim at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 241-9071 or visit in person at 4113 South Water Tower, Mount Vernon.
Back on the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX and WMIXSports.com. Of course, you can find a full scoreboard from last night's action on WMIXSports.com. We have the South 7. We have the Rams opponents. Of course, they're italicized for your convenience so you know whom the Rams have played if you're not familiar with the schedule. We have the BDC. We have both divisions of the River to River. Those scores are now accurate. My apologies. Just the one. But we have the Apollo, the Big 12, the Cahokia, the Central State 8, the Mississippi Valley. Both divisions of the Little Illini Conference, which is going to bring me to my point here in just a moment. South Central, Southwestern, and, of course, some soccer and some volleyball as well as some non-conference games from last night, including Williams Bay, Wisconsin, 24, the Martinsville Blue Streak, 16. And why is a school from Clark County, Illinois, playing a team from Wisconsin on a Friday night? That's the nature of the scheduling beast with the IHSA right now.
Okay, Williams Bay, what was that? Run that by
Williams Bay, Wisconsin.
Williams Bay, Wisconsin to Martinsville, Illinois. You know where I'm going with this.
Uh-huh. Probably same place I am. You'll see how long it is. See if we come up with the same distance.
Yeah, okay. From Williams Bay, Wisconsin to Aurora is 70 miles. So figure...
It's 4 hours and 51 minutes.
Okay, so again, as I ask constantly... Why is a team from Wisconsin driving 4 or 5 hours to play at Martinsville, Illinois? Do you not see something wrong here, IHSA, with the way football's set up?
Well, and here's the problem is until it starts to impact a certain type of school or until it impacts a school in a certain area or a school with clout, nothing has to be done about it. And here's the thing. When you have a team like Martinsville being one of these teams that has to play a team from 5 hours away, and granted, they came down, Martinsville kind of did this to themselves. They're kind of the reason for all this hocus pocus with the Little Illini Conference. They're one of the teams that bailed, had to go independent for a couple of seasons, the Blue Streaks did, and then got into the Little Okaw Valley. So they're actually out of the LOVC right now, but the LOVC is at an uneven number of teams for at least a year or two more. So when you're either an independent or a member of an uneven conference, that's the type of thing that you're going to have to go through. And, of course, there need to be some changes made, and this is something we've preached and harped on time and time again. But
so that's 4 hours by car. Think about a bus.
5 hours by car.
Yeah. Okay.
4 hours and 51 minutes.
So 5 hours is a 5 hour plus ride from Williams Bay.
You got to pee at some point. So
Williams Bay, Wisconsin to Martinsville, Illinois.
Might do other things. Can you imagine?
I don't understand. I don't know. You know, I know when these principals get together, the IHSA meets, it would seem to me that there has to be something discussed and talked about. Football system is the most broke thing I've seen because you're too good or too big, and then teams have to go to Wisconsin, teams have to go to Ohio, teams go to Missouri. You should be able to find games and teams and things to play here in Illinois.
As awkward as it is, I have nothing against like a Lift for Life out of St. Louis traveling to Mater Dei. Or Mater Dei traveling to Lift for Life.
Well, they had more after Mater Dei scored their first touchdown. They had more points and fans from Lift for Life.
Well,
okay,
there's that. But I don't understand how the kids can do it. Like Williams Bay, Wisconsin came down and got the win last night over Martinsville, which is in Clark County. Clark County, you're looking at Casey Westfield and Marshall. All of them were in the Little Illini at one time, and that's who you're looking at in Clark County up there around the I-70 corridor near Paris, of course, which is Edgar County, that area there. But now it's just ridiculous. And, of course, it's easy for us to overlook another game on the schedule that is actually today up in Sangamon County because to us, a trip to Memphis really, it's closer than Chicago. Mm-hmm. But you have Memphis, Whitehaven, Tennessee traveling to SHG today. Sacred Heart, of course, out of the Central State 8, which has an uneven amount of teams. That'll all be fixed next year. But good grief.
Yeah. Well, you know why You know why SHG has trouble finding? They're a private school. They're good, and they're too big for most people. So, I mean, there's that. You know, and then Memphis from here is 3.5, 4 hours. And that's a 6-hour drive plus with a bus. Again, there's something wrong with many things, including that driving by.
Yeah,
but
I quit asking.
I don't understand why. And I know, like you said, if only a certain number of schools get affected and a certain type of schools get affected, then there'll be change. But it's a minority now that's happening. Not only in Southern Illinois, it's happening across the state, obviously, and it has to be starting to jump in and take effect and say, here's what's going on. Somebody's got to do something. This current playoff system for football has got to be fixed, because you can't have Carlisle and Westland playing twice next year because they don't want to play anybody else.
Well, and that's what you run into, and until more teams have to start playing each other twice, or until the travel expense becomes too cumbersome for teams to go that distance, and it will.
You're not going to do it. If transportation funds keep getting cut back, as they are with the state, and school funding keeps getting cut back, I've already heard of a local school that's already looking at 6-digit debt after this school year, and they're going to have to cut tons. Schools are not going to be able to travel 3, 4, 5, 6 hours out of state to find football games, and it's been a struggle for 5 to 10 years, and it's getting worse based on the system. Something's got to be changed.
Well, and they're going to have to get it figured out sooner rather than later, and everybody is going to have to be proactive. That's what we keep preaching. But as far as games in Week 6, of course, we told those are our thoughts on the whole
travel,
Martinsville and Williams Bay, Wisconsin. But you take a look, and really last night, outside the South 7, I'm never surprised anymore. You know, the Black Diamond, I'm shocked by the distance between and the score between VG and SVWW. I'm not surprised by the Carmi-Hamco score, McLeansboro. I'm not surprised by Chester CZR.
Well, it's every week in a Black Diamond, one good game and 4 blowouts.
Right. And El Dorado Fairfield, you knew was going to be close.
Right. There's a close game.
We knew by that game. What we didn't know about Fairfield,
we learned a little bit last night because the Mules played El Dorado close.
Exactly. Johnson City beat Alvarado Trico, not a shock. AJ over Pinckneyville, not something that surprised me.
No, close was because AJ had a couple players get hurt or out.
DuQuoin Sparta,
that was closer than I thought.
In years past, you know, that's a shock that it's that close. But I think
the well's muddy in DuQuoin.
Yes,
Not got a lot of water in it right now.
All right. So Carterville, Nashville, probably not as much of a surprise. Benton, Harrisburg, really, you know, both battling the injury bug, not a surprise.
Score, the point deficit was the outcome of who won wasn't. I figured Benton would win.
Heron, Massac, pretty well no surprises there. Murphy, Frankfort, kind of surprised me as far as the differential.
Yeah.
But not the result.
Frankfort just can't get around the corner.
Yeah.
They go up. They're trying to go up the down escalator right now.
And you can tell the well has kind of slightly dried up a bit in Charleston. Of course, Mount Zion got a big win, 42-7 last night. Mattoon over Salem by that margin is not a surprise. Effingham is 3-0 in the Apollo now. That's not a surprise.
They're trying to get the 6-3 for us, but I don't think it's going to help for a Friday nighter.
You know, and some may say, hey, Columbia only beat Freeburg by a touchdown last night. That's not a surprise to me. That's a nice Montclair rivalry game.
Yeah, but that's a close game. That's two teams that don't like each other. They host tournament together, but, you know, that's about it. I mean, they get after each other pretty good.
I think more expected Rochester-Glenwood to be closer, but I mean, only on paper. I really didn't see that one being as I'm actually surprised it's 28-7 because Rochester's on a mission to prove that they're state championship caliber again. So there you go.
I don't know why you got to prove and you won it 3 in a row.
Well,
other than you want to get another one because you're greedy.
Yep. Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Highland shut out Civic last night, of course, 42-0.
Not shocked.
Again, no. There's really, if you go up and down our scores on WMIXsports.com, really no surprises.
There's not really a lot of surprises.
Maybe the differential between Edwardsville and Belleville West. Edwardsville is the cream of the Southwestern. West came in, of course, with a pretty shoddy record there, looking pretty good, but
bunch of maroons.
Yeah, I mean, you really go up and down. And Mount Carmel got a big win last night over Jasper, Indiana. They were ranked in the AP in Indiana, but that means nothing to me. So
we'll see Mount Carmel week 9 undefeated probably when they come in.
Yeah, because
Jasper,
they're starting to get past the big games on their
you hope that Mount Vernon's got that 5th win before they get to Mount Carmel. You don't want to have to rely on beating them to get that 5th win.
Yeah, because it's going to be tough, and it's going to be a Mount Carmel team that, if they were in the South 7, would have a chance to win the South 7 conference this year. There is no doubt about that, and one of those that if it just weren't for the sake of travel and just having to go that way, I mean, you'd probably welcome them. with open arms as long as another team was involved. But all of that said, it's a quick look at Week 6 last night. There's some games today, not very many. Of course, you have Memphis Whitehaven at SHG. You do have your usual suspect in terms of Saturday games in the Southwestern Conference. Only one this week. I don't know why I was thinking there, too. If I'd looked at the scoreboard a little bit closer, I would have seen that. But Planet Granite and Eastside are playing today.
That won't be much.
Not really. So, Week 7 we go, and you take a look at Week 7 games. And, the South 7, we told you that the Rams, of course, will head to Cahokia. Centralia will travel to Marion, which means that leaves Carbondale
at Althoff.
Yeah, because they're at Lindenwood. That's right. I remember that from last night. So, in the South 7 this week.
2 games there, Carbondale and Centralia. They're swaying a little bit. They've been punched a couple times here lately, and how are they going to come out on the road? Now they have to go on the road. Carbondale's in trouble, I think, at Althoff. I think Althoff's going to be mad. They're going to be mad as a Hornet losing to Marion. There was that game got a little intense last night, according to reports, and then Centralia banged up a little bit going to Marion on Pecan night. We know all that going on down there. Great cause, great thing to do, and Centralia is reeling a little bit with injuries as well. So that's an orphan team kind of swaying a little bit.
I would not be at all surprised if Carbondale is 4-4 and then needs that.
And they're going to get that
game.
5th win. Harrisburg in Week 9, they're getting 5. Just a matter of points for Carbondale. Because Murphy's going to get him some. Heron's getting back in the groove. They're getting them some points. Waterloo's grooving and getting back. I mean, they got enough points that they get to 5. I mean, plus the South 7. Plus, Harrisburg's the only one hurting them right now. But other than that, they're fine. They get to 5 and they'll get 5 wins. They'll be in the playoffs. Probably travel to SHG again.
Of course, you look at the Diamond next week, and you have Carmi at Vienna on Saturday.
Interesting game.
That could be.
That could be a very interesting game. Vienna's fighting for their lives, and Carmi's trying to get Chase Saylor to carry him into the playoffs.
CZR and Hamco, that'll be close.
Hamco is trying to break that losing streak. Was it 22? I think it's 22 now.
Pretty sure.
I can't wait for my phone. Somebody will tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Yeah,
I know,
they will.
You know who.
El Dorado at Johnston City on Saturday. Of course, that
used to be a good one.
That could be a storyline game in terms of Dan being from El Dorado. That's about it. Alvarado Trico, of course, at Chester.
Yeah,
thanks for coming. SVWW at Fairfield. At one
the
time,
Red Devils
usually
got an uphill climb because they got to beat Fairfield on the road, Carmel on the road, and then they have ET at the end. They got to win too. I don't know where it's coming from right now.
Of course, then you look at the River to River next week in Week 7, and things always interesting in the River, at least. Of course, they roll over the schedule occasionally, but I always remember Week 7 as being a good week in the River to River on both sides of the divisions. You have DuQuoin at Anna, you have Pinckneyville at Nashville, Sparta at Carterville.
DuQuoin, Anna, that'll be the end of DuQuoin unless Anna's banged up. We have more people more people checking in. You have Pinckneyville at Nashville. Nashville's up. That might be a win for Nashville if they could pull it off. Pinckneyville's team's struggling. I don't know if they can get another win. Pinckneyville is struggling right now, and they're wobbling bad. Then Sparta at Carterville. Carterville.
Of course, then you have Massac at Benton, Murphy at Harrisburg, and Frankfort at Heron.
Benton, Harrisburg. Harrisburg. Murphy might be able to get a win next week. A Harrisburg team that's hurt, banged up, injured, can't get anything going. It wouldn't surprise me to see Murphy win next week. And then you looking at Week 8 where Murphy hosts Benton. Yowzers. Murphy's a team, if they could get one win now, they're going to win in Week 9 against DuQuoin again. They'll get their wins.
Oh, absolutely right. And then you take a look at, let's see, I'm going to go just because it should be close by.
Where?
Not really going to take a look at the Southwestern Conference today for next
Edwardsville.
week. But, right, maybe the Cahokia Conference, I think, should have a good game next week. Central's at Columbia, Carlisle Dupo, and then Westland Freeburg. So,
Right.
Outside, I hate to be that way. I don't want to be a South 7 snob, but those are probably the most intriguing matchups across the board.
It is arguably the South 7, the most balanced I have seen the South 7 football conference ever. Top to bottom, where you don't know week to week.
Right, and that's the way we want it. But you have the Apollo Conference next week, which I start to see some things here because you have Mattoon at Effingham. Effingham's 3-0 in the conference. That could be the conference championship decided there, if I'm unmistaken. Mount Zion comes down to Salem. Parish Charleston. That could actually be pretty close.
It's okay to be a South 7 homer. It's okay. And then as far as the Apollo goes, what's Effingham done? I mean, Effingham was 0-3, and then here we go. I mean, they got some momentum. It is the Apollo, but
Showtime.
It is, but we'll see. A lot of teams taking different turns. A lot of teams are going to be sweating it out on that Saturday, October 26th, not wondering if they have enough playoff points.
Well, I mean, yeah,
bunch.
Mattoon, Effingham, it's a battle of 3-0 teams. Mattoon is 4-2. Effingham is 3-3. So it is conceivable Effingham may need that game more than the Green Wave as you take a look down the stretch, because for the Flaming Hearts, of course, they will have Mount Zion and then Mahomet Seymour, who I believe won last night, which would make them 6-0. So, Mount Zion's struggling. Of course, they're just 1-4, now 2-4 after last night's win. But so Effingham could conceivably, if they can get a win over Mattoon, would need that to get in, whereas Mattoon still has Paris and Jersey. Ooh.
It is.
Oof.
Yeah. Oops.
So they're 4-2, so they can beat Paris, to get their 5.
Right.
But as of right now, they may not have the playoff points.
Only
to
in 4A to the right. Watch out for them.
Yeah.
They're pretty good. Greenville to the north in 3A. They're always in that 3A quadrant. They and Carterville are looking at each other again.
And Robinson is going to be solid, but they could probably still get fed to the north. They're far enough up there.
Yeah. Or Robinson could come down. Robinson came down a couple years ago.
They're a swing school.
Right.
And that's the thing.
So is Greenville. They're close enough, but they could be a swing school.
Exactly.
Of course, Carterville's got to get it done because their enrollment's going up, so they got to get something done in 3A now. Hey, Carterville Heron, Carterville Murphy, Carterville Harrisburg. How come they don't play? I don't understand. Okay, moving on.
There you go.
Carterville and Heron are 5 minutes apart in the same conference.
Haven't played since they had a playoff game.
96.
I thought they had a playoff game recently.
They might have, but since then, but they did play 96.
Right.
But I don't understand it. I don't understand why that. And of course, I don't understand why the conference don't cross over. I do understand because some people don't want to play people, but realistically speaking, why those teams don't play each other.
I think it was 06.
Yeah, they've played recently since.
Maybe 07.
But,
Yeah, but I mean,
some things don't
should
make
be on a
sense.
regular basis. But, be that as it may, it'd probably happen if the river to river ever decided to cross over. I don't know if anybody's ever thought of that or not, but that seems like a pretty good idea.
Last time I knew it was a good idea. I've got a schedule at home.
Oh, really? So they have thought of it.
They have thought of it, but there are people who don't
Maybe
want
one
to play.
day we'll get a grade school conference locally.
Yeah, whatever. I tried that once. Still have that at home too. The way the schedule is, you're not going to play the big boys all the time, so I don't understand why people don't want to play each other. If not, go find something else to do. Or read that, or you need athletes. I don't know. If you got a sport and you got a team, you got athletes, because you can't have a sport and a team without athletes. But, hey, I don't know. I don't understand why people don't cross over. And, that's for people above our heads that will try to figure that out, even though we try to help them. But back to the point at hand, playoff football, it's coming. You're going to see a lot of teams sweating on October 26th because they don't know if they have enough points. Because a lot of teams around here are going to be 5-4, 6-3. Whether that's good football they play down here, or is that because there's not very many good teams and they're all beating each other up?
I don't know, but as the season starts to wind down, we're 2/3 of the way done now. We'll be 77.7% of the way done after this week, 88.8% after next week. Next week being the following week. So, hard to believe, but the high school football season is winding down. We still have plenty more coverage coming up on WMIX Sports. You can find us online at WMIXsports.com. That's our schedule. We're here each and every week for the Saturday Sports Show. Hope you enjoyed today's broadcast. 8:08 till 10 o'clock each and every Saturday morning, except for Christmas Day, unless Christmas Day is a Saturday. We do take that off. But we're glad to have had you with us today. Thank you for taking the time to join us on WMIX Mount Vernon, a free service from Withers Broadcasting. Back next week.